Look at this strange honeycomb-like structure. This is the morel mushroom. Depending on the season, a single pound can cost over $200. In high-end kitchens, it has earned the nickname of the American truffle. Chefs prize it for a meaty texture and an intense umami depth. But for centuries, the supply was entirely at the mercy of nature. Because morels require incredibly specific, complex ecological relationships to grow, they couldn't be farmed. Every mushroom sold at market had to be hunted and hand-picked in the wild during a brief springtime window. This extreme scarcity and massive price tag made the morel a prime candidate for industrialization. Agricultural engineers realized that taming the mushroom's volatile nature would mean capturing a multi-million-dollar global market. Recently, that barrier was finally broken. Researchers in China and Denmark developed controlled indoor climate chambers and outdoor shading systems that successfully forced the morel to fruit on command. Cultivation rapidly expanded to thousands of hectares. This industrialization should have flooded the supply chain, making a rare ingredient accessible and driving prices down. Instead, top-tier chefs are actively turning these cultivated mushrooms away. They describe the lab-grown versions as bland, odorless, and practically useless for fine dining. Standardizing the morel environment inadvertently degraded its culinary value. To understand why, we have to look at how a mushroom actually builds its flavor. Industrial morel farming relies on what are called exogenous nutrition bags. Farmers place plastic bags filled with sterilized grain, rice hulls, and wheat bran directly onto the soil, providing a constant, easily accessible diet straight to the fungal network. Protected from pests and sudden weather changes, the mycelium, the root-like structure of the fungus, draws easily from these bags. The resulting mushrooms grow incredibly fast, yielding large, perfectly symmetrical caps. But because this fungus never has to expend energy to survive, it skips crucial developmental steps. As it rapidly inflates, its cell walls stretch out. The physical structure of the fruiting body becomes thin, porous, and fragile. That physical weakness translates directly to the palate. Without the structural density of a wild mushroom, the cultivated morel fails to synthesize complex amino acids, resulting in a watery taste profile. By removing environmental pressure, engineers created a highly efficient growth cycle, and in the process produced a completely hollow product. Compare that sterile environment to the Northwest Himalayas. Here, in the wild terrain of the Kashmir Valley, you find what many consider the absolute peak of the species. Known locally as Gucci, the wild Kashmiri Morel grows only at altitudes between 2,000 and 3,500 meters above sea level. The growth cycle here is triggered by extreme elements. The subterranean fungal network spends the winter in deep dormancy, relying on the gradual freezing moisture of the spring snowmelt to wake up. Once active, the mycelium faces immediate competition. The soil beneath these ancient pine and cedar forests is packed with microorganisms, meaning the morel must compete for every resource it consumes. The fungus pushes deep into the loamy earth, expending massive amounts of energy to extract trace minerals like iron, zinc, and copper that are locked away in the rocky soil. This environmental pressure forces the organism into a defensive developmental path. As it pushes above the soil line, it synthesizes high levels of beta-glucans, complex carbohydrates that armor the mushroom, creating a dense, thick, double-walled physical structure. That fortified cellular wall does exactly what the thin, cultivated mushroom cannot. It traps and accumulates over 240 volatile organic compounds as the mushroom slowly matures in the cold mountain air. The wild Kashmiri Morel's legendary smoky flavor is the direct chemical result of an organism that has been forced to adapt to a hostile environment. Acquiring these mushrooms requires locals to hike through treacherous terrain, scanning the forest floor for the camouflaged caps to carefully hand harvest each specimen. They are then preserved on site using traditional methods like sun-drying or stringing them up over wood fires. This extracts the moisture while concentrating those intensely savory amino acids. What ends up in the kitchen is a dense, nutrient-packed ingredient that behaves differently in a pan than the fragile, standardized output of an industrial greenhouse. True culinary luxury is difficult to replicate through engineering, because authentic flavor is the physical manifestation of biological struggle. For the culinary professional, Accessing the essence of the wild usually requires a level of effort that's difficult to sustain personally. K2 Ventures International specializes in bridging that gap. They grade and deliver authentic wild Kashmiri Morels in bulk, directly to high-end kitchens. Click the link in the description below to bring these Kashmiri Morels to your menu. If you enjoyed this look at the biology of flavor, please like and subscribe for more.